Before the stars were born, the universe was a deep silence, vast and still. Ancient space, once filled with the wild energy of the Big Bang, seemed to hold its breath. The fireball faded, cooling as it spread out in all directions, until at last the chaos quieted. In this silence, the most basic building blocks whispered into being. Hydrogen, simple and humble, and its cousin helium drifted together as the universe aged only a few 100,000 years. The first beams of light, trapped for much longer than any moment can count, finally slipped free from a haze of plasma. For a while, those photons painted everything in brilliance. And then a gentle darkness settled. No points of light pierced the endless void. The universe entered its cosmic dark ages, a night before any dawn. Billowing clouds of gas wandered, too cool and spare to spark against themselves, too new for anything recognizably bright. Yet, within this quiet, something subtle began. The after-echoes of the Big Bang had planted tiny, invisible wrinkles in space, ripples in the background, differences almost too faint to measure. Here, matter drew together just a little bit more than there. Gravity was patient. It pulled relentlessly on the denser pockets. Every grain of hydrogen and helium drifting through the void felt a slow, deliberate tug. The future was shaping itself, molecule by molecule. In one such region, not too different from countless others, a slightly denser patch grew heavier, its gas cooling, sinking, swirling inward. There were no eyes to see, no minds to guess what was shifting, but the change was unmistakable. The cloud thickened at its heart, pulling more of itself home. Era after era, invisible forces worked in darkness, compressing, heating, drawing gas closer, tighter. Inside the deepest heart of these clouds, atoms collided with increasing frenzy. Temperatures soared. The weight of 100 million years sped toward a silent breaking point. Then, at last, in the hidden core of a cloud, an ember blinked into existence. Fusion began. Hydrogen atoms, pressed together by gravity, released bursts of energy. Light, glorious and bold, melted through the gloom. The very first star was born, an ancient sun whose shine still echoes through time. Across the universe, elsewhere and everywhere, other clouds felt their own awakenings. Star after star flared to life. Galaxies assembled themselves from these new points of light. In the silent depths of the ancient universe, darkness reigned for millions of years. Gravity, ever patient, drew wisps of hydrogen together, assembling them into vast, invisible clouds that drifted through the endless void. These clouds, though ethereal, were shaped by a force relentless and invisible, setting the stage for a pivotal transformation. Within one such colossal cloud, an unseen tension simmered as it slowly collapsed under its own weight. At first, this great gathering of matter seemed motionless, but deep within, hydrogen atoms crowded closer, bringing both heat and pressure to staggering heights. Gravity pressed inward, tireless in its unyielding pull, while the accumulating heat pushed defiantly outward. The balance was delicate, the struggle intense, a cosmic standoff that, for eons, teetered on the edge. As the collapse continued, a moment of crisis approached. Pressures soared, temperatures soared even higher, and at the searing core, hydrogen nuclei, the protons, faced an impossible choice. Repelling one another with all their might, they found themselves enclosed, squeezed in the vice grip of gravity. The energy inside them trembled on the brink, searching for release. Finally, in a flash that would define the universe, the answer came: fusion. Protons were forced so close together that, for the first time, they fused, binding into new forms, releasing a surge of energy that defied comprehension. Mass vanished, transformed into pure energy in accordance with the universe's deepest algebra. The newborn star let out its first cry. From its core, light surged outward, flooding the once cold gas. Radiation burst free, pushing back at gravity's grasp, establishing a fragile yet enduring equilibrium. The universe, dormant and black, was pierced by a brilliance unimagined. This first star, massive and wild, dwarfed the suns that would follow. With no elements heavier than hydrogen and helium within, it burned with a blue-white fierceness, its life destined to be short but magnificent. Where once there had only been silence and darkness, energy now raced and danced, painting the cosmos with new possibilities. In that moment of ignition, the universe changed forever. The darkness retreated, and in its wake, light ventured across the nascent heavens. The journey of the stars, the story of creation, transformation, and the promise of things yet to come, had truly begun. In the silence of a young cosmos, before galaxies took form and planets spun in dance, there was darkness, endless, impenetrable. For eons, hydrogen drifted in vast, invisible clouds, untouched and alone. The universe was as featureless as a blank canvas waiting for its first stroke of color. That stroke came with the birth of the first star. Against the black expanse, it blazed unexpectedly into existence, a point of defiant radiance. Its light tore through the fog, searing the hydrogen and transforming the cosmic landscape. Darkness recoiled. The universe, once opaque, began to clear as the star's radiation reionized the surrounding gas, turning an unseen world transparent. But this star was far more than a beacon. Within its core, unimaginable pressures squeezed the most basic ingredient, hydrogen, into helium. Each second, torrents of atoms collided and merged, releasing energy that fueled the star's brilliance. Yet the process did not stop there. Helium fused into carbon, carbon into oxygen, nitrogen, and iron. The star's heart was an alchemical furnace, quietly crafting the universe's building blocks. As more stars burst into life, they formed clusters, swarms orbiting a common center, gravitational harmony in motion. Galactic worlds spun themselves from these gatherings, cosmic cities full of radiant citizens. Structure emerged where there was once only chaos. The first star lived fast, burning brighter and hotter than any that would follow in its footsteps. Inevitably, its core grew heavy with iron, the end point of its nuclear transformations. No longer able to sustain itself, the star shuddered and detonated in a spectacular supernova. The explosion scattered its fusions, hurling carbon, oxygen, nitrogen, and iron into the interstellar sea. These ashes of a single star drifted through space, seeding future regions with the material for planets, oceans, and air. Over billions of years, they would be woven into everything complex: the rings of Saturn, the blue lakes of young worlds, the airy envelopes of distant atmospheres. Eventually, these atoms would become the molecules of life, DNA spirals, proteins, the cells and sinews of anything living. When you inhale, or cut your finger, or gaze at the constellations, you are connected to that first primordial flare. Every carbon atom in your body, every trace of iron in your blood, originated inside a sun that lived and died unfathomably long ago. Without stars, the universe would have stayed simple and dark. It was their birth and their fiery ends that made complexity possible. The first star did more than shine. It changed everything. It began the universe's most creative era, set the chemical foundation for life, and marked the transformation from formless obscurity to a cosmos brimming with possibility. Out of darkness sprang light, and from one star, the destiny of everything that followed.